Welcome, everyone, to Mugwump Media. Kevin, November's upon us.
November is upon us. That's an astute observation you have there. Yes.
And you know what? It's almost a year since the good Lord, He heard our prayers, Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
The people voted. Something amazing happened that nobody expected. And the golden age of America is upon us.
The golden age of America is here and now. Yes.
Yeah. And there's a lot of crazy twists and turns, and we're going to talk about that today. But you know, overall, I'm pretty excited. We're doing pretty good. And something great happened, Kevin. Did you know? And this was actually, by the time this plays, this will have happened like last week. I don't know if you heard this, but the mortgage rates fell to their lowest level in more than a year.
That's very good. That's good news.
Yeah. Oh, man.
This is what we voted for.
It is. You know, folks, keep your fingers crossed. The young families are still struggling, still having a hard time. We know you're out there. One of our nice folks that often listens, she said, man, this isn't necessarily what I voted for. And I understand. It's hard to afford things for young ones.
Yep.
And I just hope and pray that you all are blessed and that things will become more affordable and, hopefully it will bolster your purchasing power. In Jesus' name. I pray that will happen for you all, for sure. Now, the thing that we really wanted to talk to you all about this week is something that several people, mostly people our age, we were approached over the last couple of weeks, and of course you hear it constantly banging on the news. Everybody's so upset about this or so upset about that. Of course, ICE, that's a continuing thing. And then, of course, the shutdown. And Kevin, I have an apology to make of you, folks. You heard it here. I said I didn't think the shutdown was going to last very long. I was kind of laughing and making sport of it. Good grief. Who would have thought that the Democrats would still keep it going? This is amazing.
Well, you always forget that rational thought doesn't always play out in circumstances like this.
I think they're scared. I think they're nervous. Their base has become much more left-leaning. I guess that's about all that. And it's not even left-leaning.
I think they fell plumb over.
Radical.
I think they're laying on their side left. Yeah.
Yeah, they want to fight. They just want to pick a fight. But anyway, crazy. Who would have thought it would have gone this long? There's going to be some issues, too, because by the time this airs, SNAP, the food program, food stamps, the money's going to run out. It's going to start running out in certain things. So, and it concerns me for people, you know? So it makes me wonder what's going to happen. But all of these things, the No Kings rally, which unfortunately was a lot of people our age.
Q-tips.
Yes. Oh, Kevin and I watched the videos of these people walking out of their homes, their nursing homes and stuff, being escorted out, you know, with walkers and wheelchairs, and Kevin, it looked like Burger King crowns.
It did. On the one positive side, rather than having bricks stacked up here and there, I think probably they had to provide electric outlets for appliances and stuff. Yeah, I know,
motorized wheelchairs and things, you know. And we're not trying to make fun of people our age, but it's very discouraging that this would be a thing. Anyway, we'll talk a little bit about that later, but all this stuff going on. And then, of course, over the last few days, what have we been hearing from everybody but people our age? And here's the crazy thing, is these are conservatives. Many of them are conservatives, multiple people that are going on and on and on about the renovations and what happened in the Rose Garden and all the things going on in the White House. And I told Kevin, I said, man, honestly, that's happened. And I don't think people realize just how much history there is with renovations, Kevin, in the White House. I decided to do a deep dive today and look it up for you. And I'm going to go through some of the presidents and some of the renovations and how they were paid for. And I think it's going to give you a little bit of perspective as to what Trump is doing, seriously. At least I'm hoping so. This is something that I kind of knew, but I think a lot of people don't know this, and they're tuned in. Guys, get off of NBC. Get off of mainline media. I'm telling you, it's not helping you to watch this crap. It's just not, because they're so biased, and it's just not helpful. It doesn't help our outlook at all. It poisons us. Anyway, I'm going to go through a few things, just some basic stuff that I found. Here we go. In 1902, did you have a comment, Kevin?
No, I'm just interested in what you found. You were a little distant today. Every time I walked through, you had some other profound statement for me, and interesting.
I know.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot too. Not necessarily, like I said, I knew some of this, but I began to put it in perspective with our business. You know, the White House is not a museum.
No.
And this is what people are thinking. They're like, our White House, they tore up the Rose Garden. They're tearing up this. They're tearing up the First Lady's office. Well, the First Lady can get another office. There needs to be some redoing and refixing. That always happens. This beautiful room that you see right here, this was a one-room cabin in the 1960s. This is part of a historic landmark. But here's the thing. It was rotting off of its foundations. My husband, Kevin, if you guys didn't get a chance to watch the video last week, it was amazing. It was William Federer and his wonderful son, Michael. And the first thing that Michael said, he said, Kevin, I need you to make me some cabinets here. He said, this room is beautiful. If he would have seen it 3 years ago, he wouldn't have thought so.
I don't think he'd have walked in, really. I don't know if I'd
like
let
mold.
anybody walk in.
I know.
It's pretty rough.
It really was. And, you know, sometimes it takes the hand of a master, a carpenter, a construction person, an architect, and a sharp mind to know that a working business, or in the White House's case, the people's house, the job of the people's house is to serve the people. Our nation is bigger. It has different needs now than it did back in horse and buggy days, Kevin. So there's nothing wrong with doing what was done to our business, renovating this into a beautiful, usable place that is still historic, just like they are doing at the White House.
First impressions can be important.
Huge.
Kind of like our first date. If I'd have showed up with Jethro Bodine's pickup and he was the chauffeur, I'm thinking more than likely you probably wouldn't have rode off with me.
As you guys know, as you've noticed, Kevin really likes the Beverly Hillbillies. So
might be a little too close to home, but you know what? There's a lot of truth in that.
I know. Is that your people, Kevin?
Well, you know what? It's a lot of history. History mixed with humor. I guess that's kind of my people's thing, yeah.
I agree with you for sure. Okay, so here's the history of the presidents and the changes in the White House. Now, it was first built... Let me see here, right here. The White House construction. It would be weird if it wasn't redone, folks. It would be falling down around our ears right now. Construction of the Capitol began in 1792. 1792, Kevin. Thomas Jefferson moved in 1801, so he was the first president to live in the new People's House. So it is a very old building. Let's see, in 1902, that was a long time, 100 years past the time when it was first built. Theodore Roosevelt spent $475,445 of taxpayer funds on a large-scale modernization and renovation of the White House. Offices were moved out of the residence and into the newly constructed temporary West Wing. It was temporary to begin with. They were fluid.
I've put you in that circumstance a few times.
Many times. That's how we did here. Yeah, this was originally a little tiny house.
We never walked into a house that was done. We always walked into one that we were building.
Work in progress. Boy, that's the truth.
Except when we were first married, and then we walked into, well...
kind of a shack.
A lot of history, yes.
There you go. Yeah. You bet. But Kevin's amazing. He can build anything. The first family's living quarters were redecorated at that time in 1902, and public rooms were enlarged and modernized 100 years later. I'm clutching my pearls. They enlarged it and modernized it? That museum? Wait a minute. It wasn't a museum. It was actually Theodore Roosevelt.
Oh, well.
And the reason he did it is
they
because they needed more. Right. Right. Probably not as much as they would now with Trump, but it depends on who it is for sure. But anyway, he needed to enlarge it and modernize it because it was 100 years later. Go figure. In 1909, William H. Taft directed the project of making Roosevelt's temporary West Wing permanent. That expansion was when the Oval Office was first created, Kevin, in 1909. And let's see, $40,000 of taxpayer funds were used to fund the project. So the Oval Office wasn't there to begin with. It was in 1909. Now, in 1934, Franklin Delano Roosevelt expanded the West Wing. Again, that West Wing, and he moved the Oval Office to its modern-day location. I'm clutching my pearls again. He moved the Oval Office? Isn't that against the law?
No.
Okay, right, you're right.
No.
In 1942, the East Wing was constructed primarily, he was president for a lot of years, Kevin. In 1942, the East Wing was constructed primarily to cover an underground bunker. Did you know that?
Well, sometimes you got to have a safe place to go. You live in tornado country. You got to have a storm cellar. If you're the president in the war, I guess you need a place to go and have access to it. Makes sense.
It was that's right. It was World War II, and they built a bunker. And one of the reasons that they built that wing was basically to cover the bunker up. That is absolutely understandable. That was the beginnings of the East Wing, which Trump is now basically demolishing and redoing. And I wonder if part of the redoing has to do with the redoing of the bunker.
Probably makes me something wonder. They want everybody to know about.
Yeah. While the cost in taxpayer dollars for these two projects is unspecified in records, the cost was substantial. And there was a lot of controversy with this one, for sure. And the reason it was because Roosevelt was building in a time of war. The men were gone. The United States, nobody knew for sure who was going to win the war. That was a scary time. And remember Rosie the Riveter, the women were working. Yeah. They had to stop what they were doing, go to work, and the men were gone. The men were at war. So Roosevelt took some flack for this also, for spending this money on the White House. Let's see. Roosevelt also added an indoor pool in the West Terrace. Did you know they have built like 3 pools at the White House? Did you know that? One of them got covered over. I'm clutching my pearls again.
I had to cover a pool over once. That cost a lot of money.
I know.
Took a lot of gravel.
The insurance company made us do it, too, because it was scary.
Yeah.
Well, renovations sometimes have to be done for those reasons.
Come to think of it, the neighbors was mad at me. They thought I ought to fix it and let them use it.
We had a little boy one time literally rolled under the fence with his swimming suit on to try to go up there and swim in the pool. We had to tell him, "Hun, if a gate's shut, you probably shouldn't go through it." And there's no pool anymore.
No, at that time it was a cement pond complete with frogs.
That's true, for sure.
It's good he didn't get in the water.
I know. Anyway, he added an indoor pool in the West Terrace, which was paid for through private donations. Now, the reason that FDR had to have that pool, that was after he was diagnosed with, good grief, polio. He had polio, and he was doing it to exercise. So, but of course, the press hid that. Nobody wanted him to know. I think in the very beginning, I don't think anybody wanted to know what was going on with him because he wasn't shown as being disabled or in a wheelchair. In 1970, President Richard Nixon converted the FDR pool into the White House press room. Now I'm clutching my pearls again. He covered over the pool. Kevin, he did what you did. Oh, my gosh. You have something in common with Richard Nixon.
Well, they turned the pool into a pool of, kind of a cesspool sometimes.
He created a space for the growing press pool. And you know what? Again.
Did you say cesspool or press pool?
Cesspool, depending on the president and the speaker.
Well.
But basically, again, this just proves the point. Sometimes you have to roll with it and you have to accommodate the growing press. You have to accommodate again, this is not a museum. This is a working business, a working building that is accommodating the people's business. An outdoor pool, another pool, built under Gerald Ford in 1975 still exists on the South Lawn. In the 1940s, President Harry S. Truman, you like him, he completely gutted and rebuilt the interior. It was necessary. The building had become structurally unsound. And that's the truth. It was falling down around their ears, so he actually did a good thing. $5.7 million taxpayer dollars were used to complete the project. Necessarily so. In 1954, President Dwight Eisenhower installed a 3,000 square foot putting green on the south lawn of the White House. Now, was a good thing. It was paid for through private donations. And you're seeing a trend here. If something is absolutely necessary, they go ahead and collect tax dollars and pay for it. If it's something that is just specifically something that it's something the president wants to do. So they collect donations. And you don't hear anybody saying, conflict of interest. How do we know that these donors are not horrible people that are going to hold it over their heads? Because you only hear that about Trump, right? Okay. In 1954, got that, putting green. In 1973, Richard Nixon installed a one-lane bowling alley in a basement area under the North Portico. 2 automatic bowling lanes had already been installed in the White House during the Harry S. Truman administration.
I didn't know he was a bowler.
Right. Sacred ground, Kevin, remember? And here people are putting all this stuff in here. It's a museum, remember?
Yeah, there's too much history in a bowling alley to take it apart.
That's right. In 1993, in 1993, during the Clinton administration, Bill Clinton often jogged for exercise. Kevin, do you remember the hubbub that he caused? Because he liked to jog, and he got out in traffic and literally shut down the traffic. The Secret Service people were going crazy because you had cars stopping, taking pictures, screaming questions and other things at him. And it became necessary to do something different because he wouldn't stop his jogging. So what did they do? They decided to make a 4-foot wide, quarter-mile loop trail that would be built around the south lawn of the White House. They tore up the south lawn of the White House. It was rubberized with shredded tires and other materials, and $50,000 of private donations was funneled through the National Park Foundation for its construction. Now, they didn't use all that money for the walking trail. And again, it was like made out of rubberized tires, all kinds of stuff. It was big, 4 feet wide. And they used a big part of this money, but then there was some of it left over to put toward future maintenance, from what I understand. Now, the expensive trail, let's just say it wasn't used a whole lot because eventually he tore something in one of his legs and he ended up having to do bike riding, so he couldn't use the running trail, and I don't think anybody else used it. So by 2009, the expensive trail had fallen into disrepair and was deemed no longer worth the upkeep, so they just paved it over.
Kind of like everybody's got something in their basement they bought to make them thin and trim and fit.
That's right.
Yeah, well, that's just kind of normal.
That's right.
I don't think that's exceptional.
I know. In 2007, George W. Bush modernized the James S. Brady press briefing room using $6 million of taxpayer money. Again, updating. As the years went on, again, Kevin, you don't have gaslighters going around on horseback with long wicks lighting lanterns. We have electricity. We have all kinds of IT stuff. The press rooms have to be equipped with this stuff, with Wi-Fi, all the things that it is required to have a successful people's house to carry on the business of the people.
Sometimes you got to go in, bleach the mold, tear some stuff out, and
absolutely
we got iPads and cell phones. They got to have a place to plug stuff in when they show up. Everybody's charging their phone.
Again, I'm going to tell you, it's not a museum. This is a people's house. It is a working people's house. Updating, modernizing. During Barack Obama's presidency, the White House complex infrastructure upgrade was completed using $376 million of taxpayer funds. Not sure what all that entailed. Obama also transformed an existing tennis court on the White House grounds into a full-court basketball court. He liked his b-ball. Mm-hmm. Apparently, it was paid for with personal funds.
Was he any good?
I think he was, actually.
Okay.
But anyway, these are the things that presidents have done. And there's other stuff. FDR, the Family Theater Room, this is one of the places that's being torn down in the East Wing. It was made out of a coat closet. FDR did it. Yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. They did all kinds of things. And you don't hear the hubbub that you hear now. Now, I printed this up, and I absolutely love this. White House makeovers have long, and I thought you all would enjoy this because this gives some comments from Kellyanne Conway, who was with the president in the first term and had to deal with a lot of these old fashion things that needed fixed and renovated. And, of course, Carolyn Leavitt, his speaker, and even a couple of things that Trump said. White House makeovers have long sparked controversy well before President Trump's $200 million ballroom. East Wing project continues tradition of White House updates from Roosevelt West Wing to Obama's basketball court. This was from Fox News, and it was done, October 25th. Now, President Donald Trump isn't the first commander-in-chief to face scrutiny over White House renovations. Oh, no. Throughout its 223-year history, the iconic residence has seen numerous updates, both large and small, under nearly every administration. Let's see. Trump said, one of the things that Trump says about it, he said that it was a bold, necessary addition to the executive residence. And, of course, officials say, describing the East Wing construction as a continuation of presidential upgrades dating back more than a century. Now, the history of it, and of course, it's the East Wing, as you guys know, that's going to end up being demolished. And the reason he demolished it was because in the very beginning, he said, I'm not going to tear it up. I'm not going to touch it. We're just going to build near it. But it became apparent that it was going to have to be demolished and renovated. And, they've been kind of sketchy as to why. But we do know that the architects and the construction company told him that they were going to have to in order to keep it structurally sound and to keep it at the lowest cost possible. It was added in 1902, the East Wing was. And significantly expanded, in 1942 to conceal the presidential emergency bunker. East Garden Room is what it is. One of the things it had. It had the family theater that I told you about that was originally a coat closet. The East Colonnade. What's a colonnade? Well, it's basically columns, and it's like a walkway with columns. I guess that's historic.
Showy walkway.
Yeah, a complex of offices historically used by first ladies and their staff. Well, as history has proven, you can move to some other rooms for the first ladies and their staff. So, I don't know. I know Trump feels like that there are some things that are needed, and I'll read about that here right away. Carolyn Leavitt, one of the things that she said nearly every single president who's lived in this beautiful White House behind me has made modernizations and renovations of their own. And she also said, in fact, presidents for decades in modern times have joked about how they wished that they had a larger event space here at the White House, something that could hold hundreds more people than the current East Room and State Dining Room, she added. Now, the East Room that they were using, it was built, 1940s, I think, was when the East Room was built. I looked it up. But keep in mind, they say that it can hold 200 people. But folks, something you need to understand, 200 people in 1942 was a lot different than 200 people now, right? And people are bigger. And also, that would be moving people in, stacking them up like sardines, sitting them in chairs, 200 people. If you were going to have something like a state dinner with music, with dancing, a ballroom, 200 people, you would not be able to fit. Kellyanne Conway made some comments that I thought were really good. She remembered being invited to a celebration at the White House in 2019. This was an interview she did. The East Room, which is now being used as a ballroom, wasn't big enough, she said, for that type of event. You could only really accommodate 80 people safely, which makes sense from what we just said. So they set up a tent outside there on the White House lawn. A tent. Kevin, this is not camping.
No, it's not supposed to be camping, I guess. That's kind of odd.
It is.
Up all formal attire and going
camping.
Yeah.
Well, and that's not the worst part.
A weekender tent, I guess.
A big tent.
Yeah.
Kellyanne said it was muddy and damp that day. Apparently, ladies were sinking down into it with their high heels, and their hair was frizzy because it was muddy and damp. It had rained.
Glamping didn't work out so good, I guess.
Glamping didn't work out too well.
Oh, my goodness.
She said it was a difficult situation, and it didn't fit the United States. It didn't fit.
No.
We can afford better than that. And it's not being paid by taxpayer dollars. I do think it's a good idea, and it's being paid privately. This is what she said. This is the 250th birthday of the U.S., Conway said. We need a big ballroom.
I agree.
And of course, Carolyn Levitt also added that President Trump was advised by architects and what we just said, the construction company, that they need to make it cost-effective and structurally sound. And of course, reiterated that it was all being funded with private funds. And here's something else you're going to hear. The NCPC, Kevin, NCPC, you keep hearing it all over mainstream news. That is the National Capital Planning Commission. And people keep saying, he's breaking the law. He's breaking the law. He's not reporting to the NCPC. Okay, he did. Trump's a builder. Do you think he's an idiot? No, he's not. The first thing he did was go to the NCPC, and he figured out, he talked to their legal counsel. He had his lawyers, Will Scharf. I bet it was Will.
Boy. Yeah,
Missouri boy. But he had his legal counsel go talk to the NCPC. And basically what he found out was they do have to have a schedule of building and a blueprint. They have to have the plans, but they do not have oversight, demolition oversight. They don't want to have demolition oversight. That's not their job. The actual building process is what they'll have to have the plans and have to have the blueprints and stuff.
I'm thinking Donald J. Trump has built a few buildings, and I'm pretty sure he knows the process and knows how to avoid issues and keeps things up on.
He has not been secretive.
No.
I mean, he's gone on the news. You know what he does? He's sitting there in the Oval Office, and he tells people about it. He brings out the models. He brings out the blueprints, the pictures. He's got pictures made up of it, and he's very happy, and he wants people in on it. Mm-hmm. He wants them to help and to enjoy what's going on with the People's House.
I got to ask, did Joe Biden build anything? That's a concern. I just thought of that.
The only thing that I can think of that Joe Biden did, he used the somebody used the auto pen a lot.
They may have built an addition for his auto pens.
There 3 things. When I think of Joe Biden, it was a very questionable election. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the horrible withdrawal from Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. I don't think I've ever been so offended for our military and for the people who died.
Not a good impression.
Greatly offended. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing I think of when I think of Joe Biden is turning on YouTube one day, clicking on something, and seeing a topless trans person dancing on the White House lawn and finding out that they had some kind of a big party for the transgender people. And I turned it off. And I thought, this is a sideshow. Mm-hmm. This is not the People's House.
Not what we want to portray ourselves as to the world, for sure.
At all. Anyway, that kind of tells you a little bit about that and what they're saying about it. He's not breaking the law. He's doing what he's supposed to be doing. And as for the Rose Garden, somebody was going on about that the other day in the parking lot. And I was trying very hard to be pleasant and to try to attempt to tell this person that it was not what he thought. But of course, this is our Rose Garden. The Rose Garden. He tore the Rose Garden up. Okay. Trump recently directed the addition of stone pavers to the Rose Garden lawn, a change designed to better accommodate press conferences and ceremonial events. Again, Kevin, this is not horse and buggy days.
No.
And I looked at the picture of it, and I wish we could put it up on the screen. It wouldn't do it. I could hold this up, but it wouldn't show anything. Basically, it's beautiful. They put a stone. It looks like it's like imprinted stone or something. But stone pavers, they're calling it the Rose Garden Club. And you can see there's bushes. There's a beautiful shrubbery. There's a colonnade in front of it. It looks like probably rose bushes. It's still there. But it's a beautiful, flat walkway so that people in wheelchairs can come up and be comfortable, so that people can roll their equipment up for the press, so that ladies won't have to sink their heels down in the mud in the Rose Garden. Again, This is a living, breathing, working people's house. And sometimes you have to forget this silly tradition, which isn't really much other than just something that happened in the past, which was also an accommodation for something, and you accept it and understand. Sometimes you have to redo things like this building. You know, people might have got mad at us for tearing down part of the history, but look how beautiful it is now, and it still maintains integrity, and the story is still there. And Kevin and I are big on history for sure.
Well, and first impressions are important when you come to a business.
My gosh, yes.
The old westerns. I like the old westerns. You look at the town from the street, and there's all the tall buildings and all the pretty paint and everything. But you go around back, well, it's an alley and pretty rough. But it's important.
And there's pictures. There's all kinds of pictures that they put in here, which are really good. But I'm not going to take the time to show you stuff. Anyway, I thought that was a really good article. And okay, Kevin, it begs the story. Like I said, we're fresh off of last weekend, the no kings and all the old people running around out there with their king's crowns on and their anyway.
I didn't see a whole lot of running going on. It's mostly
No. I know.
Maybe.
It's so discouraging. It's just so discouraging. It's people that should know better. They've lived long enough. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up with this, Kevin. One has to ask, why in the world do we have all this angry resistance? I don't get it.
In a nutshell?
Trump.
A
new wave of Trump derangement syndrome.
They cannot handle him succeeding.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. In the news today, October 27th, Joe Biden, he's taken chemo. God bless him. Hopefully he survives and yada, yada, But he was reported, he actually was taking chemo. He was out of that. He was going to the Edward M. Kennedy Institute in Boston. He accepted a Lifetime Achievement Award for inspired leadership, Kevin. And he gave a speech. I know. He gave a speech. And the shocking thing about it is he started yelling and shaking his fist in the speech. He did. He said, "Friends, I can't sugarcoat any of this. These are dark days," he said. Then finishing his speech with fist shaking and sudden yelling, he said, "In 50 years of public life, this is the worst I've seen it. It's time to get re-engaged, to fight like hell." End of quote.
Oh, my.
Now, again, this prolonged shutdown, man, it's seriously going to affect people here before long. Things are kind of bad with that.
Not
but
a
that's
good circumstance.
No, and the Senate tried to pass it, and Chuck Schumer wouldn't do it. So it's on their head at this point. The No Kings March, of course. All this stuff that's going on. We now know that it was manufactured and paid for by wealthy Democrat donors, don't we, Kevin? And populated by all those senior citizens. Now, according to Bill O'Reilly, when you look at what appears to be the final numbers of the No Kings rallies, he says 75 million? Yeah, voters voted for Kamala Harris.
That might be a stretch, just a little.
Well.
But say it's true. Go ahead.
Yeah. And we now have drones that can fly over and estimate in these cities. You can estimate all of the crowd size. Well, according to Bill O'Reilly, he said that when the drones flew over and the final count came in with their estimates, he said, with those 75 million votes in hand, the No Kings rally turnout, which was being touted as a day of resistance and pushback, well, let's just say it was disappointing. Less than 10%. So to answer that question and finish this up, I love Victor Davis Hanson. He's wonderful. He pens articles for the Daily Signal. Now, this is not a word for word, but it basically gives a synopsis, which he's really good at doing. He believes, folks, that all of these things are designed to simply discredit President Trump. Another wave of TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. Because basically that's all they have. They look at Trump and they see that he's reduced crime. He went into Portland and basically mopped up the floor with those embedded little fascists they have up there, the Antifa. Yeah, have them on the ropes. He's also
law and order must be.
Oh, I know. Yes,
must be a problem with
must be a problem. Mm-hmm. According to Fox News, deportation numbers have hit record highs. I don't know if you heard that, Kevin. Mm-hmm. 515,000 plus illegal immigrants deported. These are illegal immigrants. These are people. He said he was going to go after the gang members and people that were harboring them.
Not to mention they're not bouncing right back into the country.
No, 1.6 million voluntarily self-deported illegal immigrants.
New sheriff in town.
Isn't that crazy?
Mm-hmm.
485,000 illegal immigrants arrested, which is what we talked about, the ones that were either doing the bad stuff or harboring the bad stuff. There have been, at this point, 7 or 8, and maybe 9 now. I saw something on the news this morning. I think it was Thailand. Ceasefires, basically treaties that are being drawn up. Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Who has done that recently?
It's
Nobody.
Been a long time since anybody defueled all these wars that make no sense.
I know. He needed the Nobel Peace Prize and the Leadership Award.
I don't know that that's a award worth having. I think they've pretty well lost. You know what? Their storefront doesn't look very good right now.
No, I know. But all these things, really, when you look at it and are honest, folks, it can be directly attributed to Trump. Mm-hmm. I mean, no question. It appears at this point that he may have actually, after all these decades and decades and decades and decades, brought peace to the Middle East.
He's done a lot, yes.
It's, you never know what's going to happen over there. It is a tinderbox, but at this point, there's peace there. That's amazing. He successfully restored the military's recruitment shortfall. Did you know that?
Yes.
They have an overabundance now. People are wanting to join. They're motivated.
Yes.
Yeah. And the Democrats can't help but notice that their approval numbers have plummeted. According to a recent poll, 26% approve of them and 67% disapprove, Kevin. 41% off.
That's a pretty serious number.
Pretty serious numbers. And here's the final insult to the Democrats.
Insult?
Insult.
Okay.
Insult to the Democrats. The shutdown situation.
Is that in the dictionary?
Maybe. Oh. I need to read the dictionary again.
Okay.
The shutdown situation that hurt him in 2019 doesn't appear to be repeating itself in 2025. Now, of course, things change. And, we're just going to keep trying to tell the truth and hoping and praying that the Democrats come to their senses. But as of today, he appears to be holding the line, holding his own. As a matter of fact, the last time I saw, he might have been even up a point or two. And I think that's a pretty good synopsis, Kevin. What do you think?
Well, I think there's a bunch of people running around out there with Q-tip hair screaming, he's a threat to democracy. But I don't think they really perceive
democracy. Oh, I know.
What a democracy is. And we're a republic. Democracy's a part of it. But
yeah.
Mob rule never works.
That's
why you got to have checks, and why everything was placed by our founding fathers into the what an amazing government we have. And it's kind of neat to see it start to work again with good people getting in place. And the only real trouble I see right now is our judges and our judicial.
Oh, I know. We got some issues with that. Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of curious how they're going to overcome that.
Why now?
Little by little.
Little by little.
Day by day.
Yeah.
God's working, and there's some good people in place that are really doing a lot of good things, and it's good to see.
For sure. So, folks, this is just to let you know that's the history. This is nothing new. Trump is not doing anything illegal. They just don't like him. And like I said, turn off NBC. Don't listen to them. And don't listen to your friends that are whining about it, because you've got the history right here. This is a working, living, breathing White House that has to do the people's business in 2025. Yes. It was built in 1792. We're a bigger country. We're much higher on the totem pole. We need to be the United States.
Yes.
Again, this is not horse and buggy days.
No. You said that very well.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, well, folks, we are just pretty doggone tickled that you came to visit us today. And we hope that you'll come back again next week. And when you do, bring some people with you. Take your shoes off. Enjoy Sunday afternoon with the mugwumps. Bring the coffee, tea, whatever you like to drink, and, like, share, and subscribe. It's always a really good thing because it keeps that good information flowing. And when we come back next time, we're always going to bring you more news, more information, more conversation. And I think next time Lisa Durnell, we've got a great little interview by phone with her, and I think we're going to try to get that, a Missouri update too, and an election update that I think we need to see. I think you guys are going to like it. Anyway, next week we'll be back, and we're going to keep you informed, inspired, and always independent. God bless.